was most memorable that will really stay with me is that now I have a much stronger understanding of executive function, and of what might be going on with a student who maybe seems like they're just struggling or disorganized or not trying, but really understanding the mental processes that are going into what's causing them struggles in classes. I think I'll also take away a lot of really concrete strategies that I can use in my classroom.
I think for me the most memorable takeaways were the opportunity to participate in synchronous sessions with the professionals that were a part of these sessions. I learned more from the folks that were participating in these sessions. So having an opportunity to meet, I'm a college counselor, and I had opportunities to meet with college professors who participated in this, clinicians, people who were really working hands-on with students with learning differences. So that was a great takeaway.
I think the most memorable takeaway for me is that I was able to develop a cohort and a community of other people also that are passionate about working with students with learning differences and executive function issues, and through that I have now made contacts with various people that we will continue collaborating, as well as having availability of materials to actually help me know what I'm doing, and instructors that were expertise and would help me on my projects that were useful for me. So I think overall it was almost the community that became the most memorable part.
As a classroom teacher, by far the most useful things for me were the projects and assignments in the course. Every single project that I completed has become part of my daily teaching practice, whether it was creating a lesson plan or creating a test correction sheet that my students now use to evaluate their progress on tests. Every artifact that I created was something I could actually use.
Well, actually, the way the program is structured, everything that was a deliverable was geared towards focus to the instructors were really focused on having it being applicable to what you do on a daily basis. So for my business, it was particularly helpful to me because everything that I created after each session was applicable to what I do on a daily basis. So I was able to use the products that I created in my daily work.
I think for me what was most useful is that there was almost a theory-practice bridge, and I need to understand the research and the basis for what's going on both with the brain as well as interventions, and I need to see the research of those interventions working, or I can't use them in my own practice with my own students and clients. So I found that very useful, but then the very pragmatic demonstration of how to employ different scaffolding, how to use different accommodations, how to develop them, how to analyze and do case studies. And so I think that those became the real takeaways there that are now very useful in my practice.
I would encourage anyone to apply to the program, especially classroom teachers, because there were a lot of tips and really good practical advice on how to make your classroom EF friendly, or make your classroom conducive to learning for students who struggle with executive function.
I would say if you are someone who's interested in taking a deeper dive into how to effectively support students with learning differences, this would be an excellent program to get a firm overview of all the issues that are impacting students with learning differences. So I would recommend it on that respect.
I would tell them that I would have them, obviously think about what their own learning styles, their own, developing their own understanding of what their needs are, so that they understand that they might be someone that would benefit from an environment that has more of a notion of universal design and access, so that they weren't feeling, of someone that might not want to be always working on the margins to get what they need. And I would want them to come and visit and meet with other students so that they can see how other students have made that decision and made that work. And to also let them know that there's different options here of how they could come for how long, from a semester to a degree, depending on what their needs were. So I think that I would try to tell them that this is one step towards the goals that you're trying to reach.
I think this program is special because you get to see the landmark model. I really liked the emphasis that they had on coaching students using techniques used by landmarks coaches, and knowing that you're really getting some of the most cutting edge new research in disability research.
I think probably the most unique aspect of it were the instructors, the professors, and the intelligence that was brought to each course. I had an opportunity to learn about assisted technology from Bob Dolan and really understand tools that are used in executive function from Linda Heckler, and the webinars that were presented by the intelligence that's here at Landmark. They were really invaluable.
I think that one of the things I found most unique were having the instructors, many of which were people that were, experts in the area of the course, that weren't necessarily even located at Landmark, and that have been operating professionally in this arena, who then took a deep dive with you in a very collaborative way for you to learn and understand, and then be able to use the resources. And I think that became how student-centered, even in the context of being online and everybody's all over the place. There was a way in which there was a real great collaboration.
My experience in this program has changed. I'd say my teaching has changed as a result of this program. I now have more tools to help make my classroom a more clear, I now have more tools to make my classroom supportive for students who learn differently, to allow them to be more successful.
Not necessarily change what I do, as hopefully it will enhance it and will make me a better counselor, and will also provide me with a resource to reach out to and expand my relationships with other folks that I work with who are involved in training and test prep and other areas that I can really say, okay, this is a program that I think can help me find solid resources in this area. And I think what the certification program gave me is an understanding of all of the resources that are out there and how I can outreach to them when I need them.
Oh, it's definitely changed what I do, because I was in a transition period after many years of teaching at a university level to working into a private practice. And while I've done a lot of work and have done some understanding of how to accommodate students, this has really transformed my practice, because I didn't want to just go into practice on what I had learned and what I understood. I wanted to make sure that I was using best practices, that what I was doing was research-based, and that I was able to provide my clients and students with the best I could. And for me, that's why I needed to get this certification, so that I felt responsible to the people that I was serving.
One really useful strategy is the landmark model of the master binder, which is a really concrete way that students could organize their work and continually revise and relearn topics to help them master things more fully.
Gosh, that's a good question. I think I'm trying to consider some of the programs that I went through, because it was about 1.5 years that I went through this program. I think the tools that were most helpful were there was one session that Professor Adam Lawler had, I believe it was Course 3, that really laid out strategically the tools to work with students on academic writing, on note-taking, and then the list just went on. And that was really helpful to see the strategies to help students with executive function issues. So I think those tools were something that I will continue to refer back to.
Well, I think for myself, there's so many. You know, even in the second course where you learn about accommodations in all kinds of ways, that was incredibly useful. The one that really stretched my understandings where it was the universal design, which I found after teaching at a university for so long, to then have to transform how I thought about what rigor is and what education is and what a rubric is and what I'm trying to get out of an assignment, and then to also use and learn so much about the technologies that then could enhance what many have been doing, you know, paper and pencil for so long. So that class was such a stretch in so many ways that that was a pretty unique opportunity.